Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Good evening and welcome to Plank of the Week, the one show where you don't have to worry about being judgmental because we do it all for you. Will Geddes is here, Dobbs is here, Samara, Gill is here, Wogan is here. You might have noticed that we furnished you with some mugs on this occasion.
Yes.
These are the new Plank of the Week mugs.
I'm enjoying
with
very
Mike
much.
Graham. So cheers to all of you.
Yeah, £450 each. I
Apparently
think they're very
Chuck's
reasonable.
budget has only stretched to buying 5 of them. So
I like the fact that I get to press my lip against your forehead.
Thank you very much indeed. Many people have tried. But anyway, let's kick things off. Will Geddes is here. Who's your first nomination?
Well, surprise, surprise,
Yeah.
with the lovely spring budget that has just been announced by Rachel Reeves. If you're a disabled person, you can have a glorious Foxtrot Oscar.
Yeah. We don't want any more disabled people claiming money for
evidently,
But we don't mind paying it out to migrants.
No, absolutely.
That's fine.
And free phones and...
if you're a disabled migrant as well, you get extra money.
Is that true?
Probably.
Yeah,
I don't know. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, so...
Or a free wheelchair.
And also the trough snouting, which most of the Labour Party cabinet seem to be doing all the time, is again, Richard III has been found guilty with her Sabrina Carpenter ticket.
Well, it's rather unfortunate timing as well, just before she delivers the budget that's not a budget. That's a meme that's been put out of Rachel with Sabrina Carpenter.
Very convincing.
The thing that I loved about her was how she explained how she managed to come by these Sabrina Carpenter tickets.
Do remind us, Michael.
Because apparently these were tickets that she couldn't pay for.
Yes.
Right? Now, normally when somebody says they can't pay for something, it's because somebody's given it to them.
Yes.
Right? As a gift.
Yes.
She couldn't actually say that it was a gift. She just said, these were tickets I couldn't pay for. Let's have a look.
You don't
have any money. I had advice that it would be better to be in a box. The owners of the O2 had a box of tickets that are not available to buy, and they said that I could go in there.
Actually, the only...
brilliant.
Michael, the only true
seen
thing
that
she
clip.
said there was that she should be in a box.
I haven't actually
and I think
seen
we all
box
agree with that.
in
a
car
park in Leicester.
Yeah, exactly right.
Thank you, Mark.
I was
Make
told,
sure you lock it and
I was
keep down
told
the
that the
drain.
version I'd seen before that was when she was on Laura Kunsberg, and she said that she couldn't. She didn't mention the fact that it was a box. She just said these were tickets I couldn't pay for, and left it at that. So you're going, well, what do you mean you couldn't pay for them? And why did you have, And she made it sound as if somebody had offered them, and she couldn't possibly say no, thank you.
You know, the one thing that the one thing that always makes me laugh is they'll use the excuse of a box. Maybe sometimes for security reasons. And I can tell you, having looked after many A-listers, they will get in amongst the fans. They'll get in amongst on the standard seats, in the auditoriums. They don't need to have special dispensation. And to be honest...
And let's face it, she hasn't got any fans, has she?
Well, she's got no fans.
She's not getting mobbed by fans.
Exactly.
She goes out into the streets.
But I mean, in amongst the general populace, rather than actually, I'm got to be in my isolated box, which would have been... Certainly, I would tell you that I know most musicians, if they're giving out tickets to their concerts, will have a series of tickets which they can give out in the stores.
Right.
They will never have tickets for a box.
No, the box was
there's
provided.
a big question mark.
Well, no, I think I'm pretty sure I read this at the beginning of this whole scandal, that the box was hired by some kind of banking institution or banking organisation.
It's probably a debenture or something.
I don't think it was AIG, but it was somebody like that.
Right.
And they would offer her the seats in the box.
It's a corporate box.
It's a corporate box. It's not alien to people, and people know that you can buy these things.
Better
off in a box.
And
yes,
the worst part about this whole thing is that the Labour government has had the temerity to tell us this week that we're all going to be £500 richer under them.
Not good enough to buy tickets to Sabrina Carpenter.
Precisely. Not enough for those Sabrina Carpenter tickets.
No,
So, get a
rubbish.
grip.
And if you're disabled, you're definitely not getting it.
They keep on playing with the numbers, Labour, to try and give us these glimmers of hope. But everyone knows it's rubbish. They've done it. NHS, 2 million extra appointments when we know that was just because the strikes were stopped. We were told that we had... however many were deported from the country. Yay, we're stopping the boats. Everyone knows it's rubbish, and they've just deported Vietnamese nail workers that have overstayed their visas. Nobody trusts them, and I don't know why.
But they don't tell the truth. That's why
I don't know why Rachel Reeves thought that she was going to get away with going to this concert. We've had the whole Lord Ali scandal. Did they not brief everyone in the cabinet? Come on, guys, just chill out with the freebies for a bit.
rein it in.
And she
I
looked
said this
so
at the beginning.
nervous in that interview.
I said at the beginning of the week. Would you not
tongue.
think that, particularly now that they're clamping down on spending and they're taking benefits off people, and in addition to already taking money from pensions, that you might have said to the cabinet, whatever you do, don't take any free tickets. And the thing is,
it's the unquantifiable draw of Sabrina Carpenter. That's what it is.
She is quite good, Mark.
You can't say no.
You just can't say no.
You just can't say no.
Even if you can't...
Today, believe it or not, the day after... we're filming this the day after the... I don't know, it is a budget, isn't it? A day after the budget.
Yeah.
Basically, she's admitted that she will now not take any more freebies. Well, why has it taken until now for her to say that? She's actually said that she will now think carefully. I don't have any intention of doing it again.
No intention.
Which is not quite the same as saying I'm never doing it.
Not
again.
really resolute, is it?
This is after blaming her poor niece. She goes, "Oh, I don't even like Sabrina Carpenter. It was for a family member." And it's like, oh, okay, blame a 12-year-old girl then for this whole dumpster fire.
Throw her under the bus.
Basically.
She's learnt about throwing under the bus from Keir.
He
likes to throw.
We know with
he might throw her under the bus.
Rachel Reeves will blame everybody for her problems but herself. Look at what's happened with this spring statement, i.e. emergency budget. She claims that all the cuts she's having to make and changes she's having to make, it's all because of A, the Tories, and B, Donald Trump. Nothing to do with that autumn budget, which scared the markets, caused her to lose her fiscal headroom because the borrowing costs went up. Nothing to do with her, of course.
No, of course, not her fault.
I think it's that thing, when they say nothing for the foreseeable future, you can be guaranteed it's going to happen.
Yeah, of course it is.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
The only good news I've got for you, though, is that things are worse in another place than they are actually in the House of Commons. Have a look at the Irish Parliament this week.
A disgrace, an absolute disgrace. You're making a holy show of yourselves for the world to see.
Holy show.
You're making it's very clear you have no respect for the chair. None whatsoever. I am going to remain standing until each and every one of you resume your seats.
I think they're still there. It's still going on some days
Michael,
later.
I'm stealing that. If anybody starts a problem with me, you're making a holy show.
A holy show. So you are. Anyway, Chloe, over to you. What's your first nomination?
So my first nomination is Norwood Primary School, which has decided to cancel its Easter celebrations. Anyone who can remember the days of primary school or has kids knows it's all good fun and games where you get to put feather and glitter on eggs and whatnot and bring them home and show your parents. But no fun allowed, because that would not be respecting diversity and inclusion, right? And they've also, in the same letter they put out to parents, just to really take the mick, they've said, don't worry, we're not having an Easter celebration, but we're going to have a refugee week instead.
Why
and the
not?
reason why they're doing this is
nice.
because they want to get accreditation as a sanctuary school. And if you look at the charter that you have to sign up to, it says at the very top, diversity and inclusion must be your top priority as an institution, and you must be welcoming to people fleeing war and persecution. So what they're going to do is they'll have this refugee week, presumably, and they'll have speakers come in who will indoctrinate the kids from a young age to embrace mass migration, illegal migration, and multiculturalism.
Isn't this in a tiny little school in a sort of tiny corner
it's near
village
Winchester.
of Hampshire? You know, where they're not exactly overrun with illegal migrants, to be honest.
But when you have Refugee Week, what sort of thing do you have? Do you all try and get in a dinghy in the school pool? What do you do on Refugee Week?
I don't know.
You wear a new tracksuit.
You hang around
with a brand new cell phone and 400 notes.
Hang around outside the school and harass the children. No, sorry, no, that would be what I would do. No, that's unfair.
Steady,
I'll take
Michael.
that back. But that's, the sort of thing some people
that's what
would
they do, is
suggest.
they open the gates so the guys who were praying outside the school gates can then come in and
then
see and
harass
touch
the
all the
women.
kids.
So if you become a sanctuary school, do you get more money?
Yes. Well, it's a bit like the Stonewall system. If you get a tick in the right box with Stonewall as a sort of, an LGBTQI plus friendly bank or something like that, you actually get more investment. There are more investments that come your way.
Well, this
because
is the
public
thing.
money, which comes to people like schools, I would imagine, will be more forthcoming if you're a sort of, a goody-goody, let's put your hand up and virtue signal type organisation.
Yeah, and they are
It's shocking, really.
A lot of institutions are forced into it. So we've had a lot of stories about the National Trust going woke, and we see it all with the arts and whatnot. And they actually kind of have no choice, because in order to qualify for the grants that they need to survive, they have to tick all these DEI boxes, else they'll be broke.
I was saying the National Trust were in the news this week because it sort of backfired on them, because a woman actually took them to a tribunal. She was of Indian and Pakistani origin, apparently, and she was working in the National Trust in some stately home somewhere. And the boss came up to her and said, "We're setting up a diversity network. Would you like to join it?" And she took massive offence and said, "How dare you ask me that question? You're only asking me because I've got brown skin." And she sued them. And you're kind of going, right, OK.
You can't win, can you?
A bit confusing.
Yeah, a little bit. Where the hell is the inclusivity if we're excluding... We're a country that is Church of England. We're excluding Easter. Where is the inclusivity in there? I really fail to think about where that happens.
I think
always
you're looking at it in the wrong way.
Yeah.
I mean, an Easter bonnet is still a head covering, isn't it?
It is. I think you're absolutely right. Also, is it not kind of sort of, I would say, rather insulting to assume that all refugees are non-Christian?
A lot of them
There's
are
plenty
Christian.
of refugees who are Christian.
Yes.
There's plenty of people
Actually,
that live...
In fact, there are actually a lot. There are a lot of.
There might be Coptic
a lot of
Christians.
gay Christians coming across on the boats.
For some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
They all turn gay and convert
A lot of
to
them
Christianity.
a lot of them become Christian. Well, they'd be upset, I
And gay
presume,
too,
if their kids were not able to celebrate Christmas.
I mean, we can't. There's a Jamaican paedophile that we can't deport apparently because he's bisexual.
Yeah, that's right.
Hang on,
Although
where's
nobody
that
thinks he
coming?
really is. I always come back to my favourite, the Nigerian psychopath, who can't be sent back to Nigeria because he's possessed by the devil. I mean, that's a good lawyer.
He should definitely stay in the UK then.
Yeah, he'll be here. He'll be here for the rest of the time.
I volunteered to exercise him.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about that. Anyway, listen, here's something about Pure Gym, because, of course, it's also Ramadan at the moment.
Yeah.
And this is a sign that went up that said, as a form of respect to our staff, members, take that word closely, observing Ramadan, we kindly ask you to cover up with a towel when you exit the shower. Thanks for your understanding. Now, there are two questions here.
Yeah.
One, who walks around inside of a gym changing room completely naked after a shower? I thought you'd say yes. You got something to show off. And
what can I say,
also,
Mike?
if you are doing that, why would it particularly offend people celebrating Ramadan? I don't get it.
Maybe you're hungry and you mistake it for a sausage.
I was hoping you wouldn't go down there, but I see that
I think that's what he's just saying. What everyone was thinking.
But it's kind of an odd sign to put up in a gym, isn't it?
It is. But is it in both changing rooms? Is it the men's and the women's?
I've only been in the men's. I don't know.
Oh, right, OK. Did you take that picture, Mike?
No, I didn't. No, I'm joking. No, I don't know. Maybe it's in the women's as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
You just know that a Muslim didn't make that sign. That's the worst part of it all. I'm sure it's some sort of virtue signalling gym bunny who's gone, we need to be inclusive. We need to be inclusive of everyone. Like, Muslims don't even think like that.
To be honest,
I've
got a lot of Muslim friends who are also at my gym.
And they walk around bollock naked as well.
Yeah, they didn't care. They don't care.
All right.
We're very, very liberal.
Check out my Franken beans.
I've been to gyms like that. One of them was in San
those
Francisco.
were nightclubs, Mike.
Yeah, no. Anyway, over to you, Samara. What have you got for us?
Kind of along the lines of what we were talking about, these ridiculous cases, like bisexual Jamaicans getting let into the country. There's just one to multiple every single week that we keep finding.
We do it on the show,
yeah, there really is. Yeah. And so this week or today, it's about this Iraqi guy who basically said that his people smuggler that he paid probably a couple thousand to chucked his phone out of the boat when he was getting smuggled across. Yeah. And apparently that's why he should stay in the country. And some woke judge said, yeah, that sounds like a really good...
Because he didn't have any ID either. I think he lost that as well.
Yeah, he had no ID. That got chucked out with the iPhone. Yeah, really conveniently.
And he couldn't... it's amazing how many of these so-called refugees who are fleeing war zones have all got iPhones.
Yeah, I know.
They get the iPhones
pretty handy, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, how else do they contact the people smugglers? It's
that's true.
Yeah, exactly. It's all a network.
Yeah,
but for some reason, once he'd contacted that people smuggler, got on the dinghy, he then lost everything that he had, and apparently... because we don't know who he is, he should be allowed to stay in the country, which just absolutely makes no sense.
But that's standard drills for these guys. When they get on the boat, because I did a bit of work on the whole sort of illegal immigrant stuff, and basically the moment they get on the boat, they get all their passports and chuck them overboard.
Well, of course they do, but the thing is...
because that's what they're told to do.
Yeah, exactly.
They've all got passports as well, for people fleeing a war zone. I mean, what's the first thing you do? Pick up your passport and run.
It's in your go bag.
There must be beaches in northern France just littered with passports.
Well, they're all in the channel.
I was going to say...
they wash up, depending on how far across they are. They either end up on the East Coast or
some creative entrepreneur. You'd have a team of frogmen, wouldn't you, underneath the arrival, because they come in just, here comes another one, right, there's another one. So they've only been in the water for about 20 seconds. You can retreat, you can put it in rice and everything. It works.
We actually had some... there was a video came out this week, I'm not sure if we posted it, of the dinghies getting into the water in France, and you have the French police boat just sitting there, just observing them, just making sure they get on safely.
Au revoir.
Not just that, they have the equivalent of the French RNLI in their silly orange outfits, their rescue team, all there, standing around, getting in the water to make sure they get on safely. Off you go to Britain.
Yeah, because
have a good job.
They don't want them.
The dinghies are so
Meanwhile,
pathetic.
we hand them our cash.
Yeah, the dinghies are so pathetic. They literally would not be able to go more than 50 yards once they're in the water. That's the whole thing. But why the French intercede at that particular
They've been doing a pretty damn good job. We've had 36,000 people cross.
The boats are as big as this studio.
Because the French helping them.
There's 60 people on these boats. They're not. So I don't know why we call them small boats anymore, because they're pretty big boats, actually.
The thing is, the UK needs to get some self-respect. I mean, we're a first world country, and we're letting people literally just come in.
Yeah.
We have the worst part is that we don't know anything about this guy, and the other bad part is that taxpayer money went into the lawyer that paid and defended this man to stay in the country. So the entire system is absolutely cooked. We're allowing rapists, pedophiles, sexual offenders. We have no idea the background of these people.
Amazing.
And yet still our system continues to say, yes, you get a golden ticket into the UK. No problem at all. It's really
and it's
broken.
Also the international reputation of this country is now suffering. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's that sort of slightly right of centre Republican woman, had a massive go at Sky just this week because this woman tried to interview her, and she said, "You just go back to your country and deal with your migrant problem." So that's what
women
Britain's
are getting
now known
raped.
for.
She said,
So Britain is now known for having a migrant problem in America. I mean, it's ridiculous.
JD Vance as well.
Yeah.
He in that group chat, it was revealed how he thinks about Europe and us.
I know.
Yeah.
Shocking.
I mean, where is the care for the safety of women and girls in this country? What about them?
Starmer keeps talking about it.
I mean, of course.
Talking about women and girls. He thinks women and girls are so busy looking up to Rachel Reeves because she's a woman that they won't be in any way under attack.
But hang on, Mike, can he actually define what a woman and a girl is?
He doesn't know.
That's half the problem.
He doesn't know. Mark Wogan, what's your first nomination?
My first nomination is a woman who was paid £25,000 in compensation by HMRC because her work colleagues sent her a birthday card.
That's a good birthday, isn't it?
Such an example of the world gone mad.
This is not a real picture, is it?
No, that's
that's
not
a bit
her.
of AI.
I don't think her, though.
I don't think that's her.
No.
But, so she was off ill. She'd been signed off because of stress working at HMRC. She'd been signed off.
Red flag.
And her work, she was expressly asked her work colleagues to keep communications to a minimum.
Yes.
And they thought, quite nice thing, she's off, we'll send her a birthday card. She found this incredibly offensive, so took them to tribunal. She got £20,000 for the birthday card, but then she got another £5,000 for ignoring her mental health condition and her race.
Oh, for God's sake.
So it turns out that a birthday card is more offensive than your race
and did it have
your mental
really offensive messages in it, like get well soon, happy birthday.
We're here doing all your work
missing
for you.
Many happy returns.
Many happy returns.
Mike, would you like to send me a birthday card?
Yes,
January,
I will.
please.
Yes,
I'd like
I
to
will.
cash in.
Especially if you've got some mental health problems.
So the general message
always.
is, we can no longer. I mean, we're not celebrating Easter now, and don't
birthdays
celebrate
are
people's
definitely
birthdays
off.
either.
I mean, it'll be Christmas next, won't it?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
It already has been.
Happy holidays.
Hasn't that been cancelled?
Yeah, already has.
long
Yeah.
time
Happy
ago.
holidays.
Absolutely. That is ridiculous.
but how mental is that?
horrible
But the thing
woman.
is, who is the plank in all of this?
Well,
so
surely it's the judge, whoever awarded the 25 grand.
It is the judge who said
Hold
on, let me just see. He said such stupid things.
Yeah. I think the judges of this country might have to get some kind of collective plank.
I think
I
need to.
You know, the immigration panel judges, you know, the guy the other day who had the Harrods shoplifter, who sold £15,000 worth of expensive bags and worked at Harrods, by the way, as well.
Right.
Sold them for £5,000, right? Was up before the beak, and he pleaded guilty, I think, to shoplifting. And the judge said he was obviously on hard times. So he gave him a suspended sentence and said, don't worry.
Give me a break.
You know, he did it because he didn't have any money.
Did you have to pay back the money?
Well, I don't believe so. Don't believe so.
The woke ideology has penetrated everyone in that system so deeply. It's going to be very hard to get rid of it. It's a virus.
That's the thing, is we can maybe change the politicians come 2029, but you've still got all of these activist judges.
I know.
How are you going to change all of that?
But no, what you need to do is change people's concern and consideration, because part of her hatred of this situation was that While she was off, she received 11 emails to check if she was all right.
Shocking. That's disgusting.
Got to change people. You can't change the law.
No,
change people.
Absolutely awful. Dreadful. Well, listen, that's a pretty good start. That's the first 4 nominees. I'm going to come back to you with somebody else from the government, and we're going to be talking about an airport. We all know a bit about that one. This is Plank of the Week. More after this.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. We are well underway. It's now my turn for my first nomination, and it is Angela Rayner, as we like to call her.
Migrainer Rayner.
Lovely Angela. Because there's so many reasons why it's Angela Rayner this week, right? Because apart from anything, I think we'll kick off with her going to Ethiopia, because nobody knows why she wanted to go to Ethiopia.
She go there anyway?
20,000 quid it cost. Have a look at her doing a little video from Ethiopia.
It was great to visit Ethiopia's stock exchange and learn more about how it's unlocking Ethiopia's potential. We've got a strong relationship, which hopefully we will build on to deliver jobs for Ethiopia.
She says Ethiopia like 15 times. Right?
I went to Ethiopia and rang a bell.
Yeah,
it was great.
It then turns out that while she was in Ethiopia, she wanted to go on safari, and she actually asked the people of
freebie
Ethiopia,
safari, wasn't it?
Can I go on safari? And, you know, that's a meme, obviously. And basically, the sort of diplomats who were accompanying her on this visit were like, it's not really about that, Ange. You know, you sort of have to do some, you know, shaking of hands, ringing of the bell at the Ethiopian Stock Exchange. I didn't even know they had a stock exchange in Ethiopia.
No.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be racist here. I just didn't know that it was, you know, it's not really like the Dow Jones, is it? I mean, I don't think I've got any
the
stock.
bell's generally...
I'll have to check with my financial advisor.
They've got a bell. They've got a bell, and I rang it.
We actually...
I thought it was part of the ceiling falling in.
The Spectator, they've launched this Spectator project against frivolous funding, and one of the things in there is that we spend, it's 20-something million on reforming Ethiopia's tax system as part of our foreign aid.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
All they needed was a bell.
Yeah, all they needed was a bell. It's a very expensive bell. But the funny thing was that she made this, it was picked up originally, I think, by Guido. She made this video that we just watched there. And for the longest time, until it was actually revealed to be there by Guido, it'd only been watched by 50 people, which presumably is less people than actually work around her in the department that booked the tickets to Ethiopia. But here she's explaining why she went to Ethiopia.
I've never been to Africa before, and I thought it would be a lovely thing to see actual animals out in the wild instead of just going to Knowsley Safari Park or whatever. I thought it would be a nice thing to do while I was there. It got rejected. I didn't do it. It's a non-story. So why you had to bring it up, I really don't know.
See the picture of James O'Brien in the background.
I love that.
She's absolutely brilliant. But I'll tell you what, she's also been in the news this week as well, because she's been basically telling everyone about her brand new plan to get a proper definition of Islamophobia, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out that the new definition of Islamophobia might actually catch people who aren't Islamic, might actually find that you can claim to have been suffered from Islamophobia even if you're not a Muslim.
Excellent.
So
I regularly experience it myself, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, you could be a Hindu, you could be a Christian, you could be
an atheist.
A Jain.
You can be an atheist.
Yeah, exactly right. So the law is absolutely nonsense. Also, she got into trouble as well because when she was talking about the budget and all of the things that her colleague was doing. By the way, did you watch the way that Angela was looking at Rachel Reeves when she was delivering the budget?
Yeah.
Like going, you're crap. And you know you are. And I'm sitting up here going, hey, you know.
I think that look was something else. She was there going, oh, you could do with some hair extensions.
Look at my hair extensions. Why, by the way,
you could do with a safari in Ethiopia.
It's actually real hair,
ask the question, why did Rachel Reeves turn up to deliver the budget in a onesie? She was wearing, like, you know, that kind of, the stuff chavs wear to go to Turkey on the plane.
You know, like leisure clothes.
Leisure wear.
Was it a play suit?
Hey?
Was it a play suit?
I don't want to think about
that. It's a power suit.
A play suit.
A power suit, okay.
It should have been orange. That would have
I know we complain about politicians wasting money and taking freebies, and we've had David Lamy's Foreign Office wasting 500 grand on wining and dining, but I actually wouldn't mind if they spent a little bit of money on a stylist for the cabinet, so that I don't have to be blinded. I don't want to be blinded by Angela Rayner's snot green suits anymore.
But don't forget, Angela Rayner has got her own personal photographer that follows her around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and several of them have got their own. I think
she needs to get a new one because the photographs are not great.
Will. There are actually worse angles than that.
Yeah. No, but here's the other thing she got into trouble for, because as part of the interviews that were being done around the budget, she basically came out and said that working class people don't want handouts. Which, given how many handouts she's had, everyone thought was a little bit ironic. Really.
Yeah. Her life has been a whole handout. I mean, also, when we think about that trip to Ethiopia, 20 grand just on alone.
Sorry, could you say it right?
Yeah.
Ethiopia.
Right. Now, we're going to finish up with old Angela with this song. Apparently, there's a song which is doing the rounds.
Brilliant.
About Sir Keith Starling.
I'm too Tory for the shirt, but I like to take a perk, so Tory it hurts. And I'm too Tory for your nan, too Tory for your nan, Jeremy and Diane.
Very good. I hadn't seen that before, so well done.
That's great.
Will, over to you. I think this might be the winner, you know. This is a terrible blunder,
This is real
Talk about
bad.
a plank.
I mean, and I got asked a lot about it. Because, to be honest, it was so comedic and catastrophic. If one rationalised it down to exactly what happened, it raises so many question marks. And what I'm talking about, Michael, is Heathrow Airport.
Heathrow Airport, of course.
And the infamous historical substation, which was the only means of electrical support to Heathrow Airport, which went down for curious and very, very suspicious reasons.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I did go down the route, and I don't go down the rabbit hole that often, but to be honest, it defied logic.
Yeah.
Part of our national critical infrastructure, like Heathrow, would not have backup generators, substations in various parts of the country, or even in the immediate area, that if one goes down for whatever reason, flood, fire, intervention, sabotage, malicious intent.
Terrorism.
Exactly, then you've got a second element. Yeah. And two things happened here, especially, was the fact that the CEO...
he's a Danish gentleman, isn't he?
Yeah, who was notified...
Thomas Voldby.
Yeah, notified.
How about Thomas Goodbye?
Yeah,
he's no bleeding good.
I mean, having done this with companies, there would be a crisis management team.
Yeah.
He would be part of that crisis management team, and they would have, or should have, rehearsed a number of different scenarios of what could impact terrorism, sabotage, God knows what, including that substation. That should have been within their rehearsal plan as to what they would do if it goes down.
But also, the thing that struck me was, shouldn't Heathrow have its own substation? Shouldn't they generate their own electricity? And why are they relying on the national grid, for heaven's sake?
Exactly, because it also took out 16,000 local homes as well.
But it only took them out for an hour, because we had a guy ring up. He was in the same road as the fire, and he actually called in, and he said the fire was so hot you could feel it, standing 200 yards away. But I said, how was the power? And he went, it was out for an hour, and then it came back.
Yeah.
And this was in the morning, because Heathrow didn't lose all their power. They still had power in Terminal 3 and Terminal 5, but they decided to shut it anyway.
I know, ridiculous. But what is even more ridiculous and almost embarrassing was the fact the CEO, on being notified of this cataclysmic event, and it was cataclysmic. I mean, Heathrow is the busiest airport in the world. Went back to bed.
He went back to bed.
He went back to bed.
Do you know how much he earns per year?
Go on.
3 million quid.
What?
Wow.
Yes.
3 million?
Yep, 3 million quid.
Well, no wonder he's relaxed. He's got nothing to worry about. Check him out. Here he is, Thomas Voldby.
We're a laughing stock. That's what he has to say.
Personally, I'm quite proud of what the entire ecosystem, and that's not just Heathrow, that's our airlines, our handlers.
The day after this has happened, you are saying as the chief executive of Heathrow that you're proud.
Yeah, that's him talking about Barney on the Today programme.
To be honest,
he looks like he's sitting under a heat lamp, by the way. What's going on with that?
He's been on holiday.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe he wasn't asleep. Maybe he had an appointment at the tanning salon and he didn't want to miss out.
You know what he claimed? He'd been at an event in London that night.
That's right,
so he was very tired and he had to go back to sleep. So he just put the phone down and...
Yeah, but the crazy thing is I've worked with teams through major events, and I've sat with the C-suite and the board. And pretty much, I'd say 99% of those companies, they have not gone with sleep until such time as the situation's been managed and resolved. So this is just incredibly disappointing because we are so dependent on Heathrow. Yes, we've got fabulous other international airports across the country.
Yeah, but Heathrow is
still the busiest in the world.
You can't just shut it for a whole day.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
I think what happened was he went out with his mates. Got absolutely blind drunk.
Leathered.
And then on his way home decided to chuck his bicycle into the substation
Yeah.
and make it go off.
Yeah, maybe.
And then he woke
First
up
of
in
the
the
day
morning
off.
like, what have I done?
Yeah.
And then just decided, decided I'm trying to keep my head under the radar.
Yeah.
It's all going off. Just shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down.
And lastly on this, I'm not buying.
There's
that
still
it
a lot
was-
of questions.
You
they
know
haven't
what? There are
answered.
some big questions.
There's a lot of
and I have to say,
net zero nonsense going on here as well.
yeah, we know GRU, the Russian intelligence services, are already over here looking at our power stations, looking at our shipyards, looking at ports, looking at CNI, critical national infrastructure. So, you know what? The big question mark is if it wasn't Russians involved in sabotaging this substation, they sure as hell will do probably in the future, unless they get their act together.
Well, this is the other weird thing that happened. The weird thing that happened was the fire, I think, broke out about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night on the Thursday night.
Yeah.
The terror police did not go in to investigate the fire until about sort of 9:30 the following morning. So initially they were not involved.
No.
And suddenly everyone went, oh, maybe the terror police should get a call.
Yeah. But also the other thing as well is I don't really trust the outcome that comes from the government.
Really?
It's funny that.
You surprised
certainly
me.
in the wake of Southport, and if they deny there's being any terrorist-related or foreign hostile state activity,
which
I
they
still
have
have a
denied.
big question.
They
mark
have
over it.
denied that.
Yeah,
If the Russians were looking for anything, they're
Yeah.
probably like, you know what, this country's just gone and it's a dumpster fire in itself. I don't think we need to sabotage the UK anymore.
They'll do it all on their own.
Yeah, they've just,
I mean,
Ed Miliband's gone and done
They did a
it.
great job by
Imagine
themselves.
the fiendish plot to try and bring London to a standstill. Don't worry, it's already happened. Can't get anywhere.
The chief executive pissed out of his mind will throw a bicycle.
I mean,
into
the
substation.
best I think tweet I got on it on the Friday morning, because it happened just in time for us to do breakfast on it, was, has anyone seen Bruce Willis? Because it looks like a plot from Die Hard 2, where they've altered sea level, so the planes will crash into the ground.
my favourite-
I'm going, it could happen.
My favourite meme has been of one of the two GRU officers that were basically captured after the Salisbury poisoning.
Oh, yeah.
And it says, we wanted to visit the historical Heathrow substation.
That's right. Because remember, they were supposed to be visiting Salisbury Cathedral.
Historical
weren't they?
cathedral, yeah.
Yeah. Chloe, over to you, the NHS.
Yes,
For
the
all sorts of
NHS.
reasons.
There are many reasons why I could nominate the NHS, but this week it is because a nurse might even lose her job. She's had a final written warning and is being looked into by the
There she
Nursing
is.
Council. Why? Because she referred to a trans individual who is a biological man identifying as a woman with male pronouns.
What,
Not even to the guy's face. I'll call him a guy quite happily.
Yeah, I
He's
think
not
you
here
should.
to sue me.
Yeah.
But on the phone to a colleague whilst describing a male-specific problem with his, male parts, right? So she said that the terminology needed to be very clear.
Right.
This guy overheard the conversation, went absolutely nuts about it. He tried to lunge at her. He tried to, cause her harm. He then called her the N-word 3 times. This is
Blimey.
That's probably a bit worse than
Isn't that
misgendering.
worse? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, battle of the what's the worst insult?
So she was dealing with, this was a prison
Her name's
inmate.
Jennifer Melee, apparently, by the way.
This is a prison inmate who had come for a doctor's appointment.
Oh, yeah.
And she's the one who's in trouble, even though he tried to lunge at her, called her the N-word 3 times, but because she described a male-specific problem on the phone to another colleague to explain what was going on with this
That is
patient,
bonkers, isn't it?
she is now potentially going to lose her job.
That's
It's
crazy.
unbelievable.
In between all the expletives, did he say what he wanted it to be called? Was it a mangina? What was it? What did he want?
I'm not sure about his parts, but he wanted to be referred to as a woman.
Also, isn't he a pedophile?
I think well, he's in jail, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He's a
For
paedophile.
paedophilia, so
for God's
he
sake.
used those non-discriminate parts to do some probably horrific things.
Yeah,
It's unbelievable,
exactly.
isn't it?
But the thing is, so she said when he then complained about it, she said, I can refer to you with your name, but I will not use these pronouns you
I'm
want
not
me
gonna
to
call you
use
she.
because I'm a Christian and it's
Right.
against my faith. And apparently that was her pushing her views in the workplace to say because of my Christian beliefs I won't do
For
that.
God's sake.
I mean, the thing is, we learned last week, didn't we, that the NHS is actually collecting data on people without actually referring to what gender they are. So as a result of that, people are actually missing, getting. Yeah, they're missing getting letters for smear tests and missing getting letters to get, prostate exams.
There was
because
actually-
there's no definition of who actually is a man or a woman.
There was actually a French
right.
gynecologist was suspended from their job because they refused to treat a man with man parts identifying as a woman because they said, I'm not trained to deal with
not
those
giving
areas.
him a smear test or something. Because he wanted a smear test, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Sicko.
I'd have given him one.
I would have given him one.
Here you go, mate. Yeah, just open your legs. You know, here it comes.
Bend over.
You know. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
There we go.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, look, the problem you've got in any hospital...
Get this visual out of my head right now.
The problem you've got in any hospital environment is those paper pants, they don't cover everything up properly.
No.
You know, I quite like
it's
them.
It's the gown more than the pants, really.
Well, the
gowns are good, yeah.
Well, the gown does up down the back, which I've always found confusing.
But also, if you put it around the wrong way, then it's open at the front.
That coupled with the paper pants.
This is my preferred style, Mike.
Yeah.
I did do that once because it didn't go down well.
Yes.
The meds were quite heavy, weren't they?
Now, that's a visual image I can't get out of my head.
Well, anyway, it's just, but it's one on ideology against another. She's Christian, and then these trans people do really think that they take precedence over everyone else. It's like, you're all about, respect everyone, let's hold hands and kumbaya, until someone says, no, I'm a Christian, and then apparently they're an N-word.
I know.
It's like, come on now.
Unbelievable. Absolutely ridiculous. Well,
I think we should crowdfund for this poor nurse.
I'm sure somebody's doing it.
I hope so.
Yeah, the Free Speech Union.
I'd contribute.
The Free Speech Union will probably do it. But I mean, it's typical of it, the NHS to side with the prisoner.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable stuff. Coming up, we're going to be doing a bit of the royal family, or the ex-royal family, you might call them, and a bit on the BBC from Mark. This is Plank of the Week. Back after this.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. It's time for the Herbert, formerly known as Prince Harry, to find himself on Plank of the Week. What's he done this time, Samara?
This week, he has resigned from yet another thing.
Yes.
The Centre Barlow charity, which actually he founded in memory of his mother, Princess Diana.
Years ago, right?
Well, yeah, in 2006, actually, when he kind of went over there and when he used to have this obsession with Africa.
Yeah.
Well, now he's kind of chilled out in Montecito and forgotten about all those pledges and causes.
It's not a very long way away.
Yeah, I need to get out of my gated community in order to help people now, type of thing. So
I can only use a private jet to go to award ceremonies.
Pretty much. No, it literally is that. And also, it's not making me any money.
Right.
My wife wants to be a billionaire this week. Meghan's declared that she wants to be a billionaire.
Isn't that a nice ambition for her to have?
Yeah, I know. You forget that when you say you want to be a billionaire, it doesn't really coincide with your whole I want to help the world and end poverty thing. Right. So, I mean, they're a walking hypocrisy. But it's quite interesting because Dr. Sophie Chanduka, she was basically the chair of this organisation. She's accused it of weak management, bullying, discrimination, especially against black women, which is a really serious claim. And Harry's just walked away. He hasn't said, I think I'm going to help this situation. I really care about...
Don't sort it out.
Yeah, I mean, racism, isn't that the whole thing that came up in that Oprah interview between Harry and Meghan? The royal family's racist.
No, we didn't mean that. No, we didn't mean racism. No, we said it, we didn't mean it.
Yeah, precisely. So it's like when that comes up, it's ridiculous. And she had some very cutting words to say, well, we don't know if these are exactly about Harry, but let me just read them to you. There are people in this world who behave as though they are above the law and mistreat people, and then play the victim card and use the very press that they disdain to harm people who have the courage to challenge their conduct.
Meghan.
Meghan and Harry. I wonder who that is.
Who could that be?
Who could they be thinking about?
Time and time again, it's bullying. Their staff are a revolving door of mostly women, actually, who claim that they've been mistreated by this organisation. Right. When are we just going to say, no, we don't want your edible flowers, you two are horrible people, stay behind closed doors, we don't want any more of you.
Really?
That's what I have to say to them.
Right, Mark, over to you, the BBC.
Well, this is another one of these stories, Mike, where I'm not sure who the plank is.
Yes, I can see.
So the BBC have got a show called Hey Dougie.
Right.
And it's all about lovely animals aimed at 5-year-olds.
Right.
And some parents got very upset because they felt there was a whiff of a gender-neutral raccoon.
A whiff of a gender-neutral raccoon.
A whiff. Well, it was like all the other animals had his siblings and her siblings, but the raccoon had their and they.
Oh dear.
And whatever.
Oh, no.
And I mean, if you see a picture of the raccoon, I don't know.
I think I've got
one. We've got a picture. Yeah, there he is. There he is. Now,
doesn't look much like a raccoon.
Now, look, I can
doesn't look like a raccoon.
Yeah, I've got to say.
But I can understand why the BBC have gone down this route.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when you've got a history of presenters who were quite free with their genitals.
Yes.
To remove one from an animal is probably a good thing. Because one, you're going to offend less people, and two, should they get into trouble, you don't have to bung them a six-figure sum.
No.
Because they can't
and a pension
earn
for the rest of time.
And a pension for the rest of their life because they got their genitals.
Yes. Yes, there's a bit of a worry there. We should probably put a sort of a safety note on that. That you're not referring to anybody in your family, obviously.
No, absolutely not. No,
that would be wrong.
No.
But yeah,
you can dig around as much as you like. There's nothing there.
No, well, and I've got something for you here. You might enjoy this. It's got nothing to do with Dougie Raccoon, but it has something to do with a social media star who apparently identifies as a female raccoon.
Daily reminder, you get to define what masculinity and femininity are for yourself. Don't let society dictate your gender expression.
Is that connected or inserted, that tale?
Well, I don't know, but we did. I think the last time we were here, well, one of the times we were here in this very studio, we talked about these freebie people.
Oh, furries.
Some of whom apparently have surgical tails attached.
Yes, they do.
Tails attached surgically.
Well, it's an illness. It's a mental illness, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be. Well, that's not right, is it?
No. Why do we indulge?
Which bit of that is
she's definitely mental.
I mean, why would you identify as a raccoon?
Trash panda.
I mean, we don't even have them in this country, do we?
Why do we indulge these people?
I know.
Seriously. I mean, I've spoken to a teacher who said that 3 people in her class of, I think they're 8-year-olds, they need litter boxes, and the parents actually facilitate that. And it's like, this is in Australia, mind you, but come on now.
I mean, it's happening in the States. You know, they have their litter boxes and everything outside the classrooms. But it's the idea that these children are going out and essentially taking it.
Are they actually doing it? Are using them?
Are they having a crap in the box?
That's ridiculous.
But why
But
are we
I want to
allowing
know,
this?
do they then flick the litter over?
I don't want to
Do they also get
do they
fur
remember
balls?
to wash their hands?
Do they get fur balls?
What, from cleaning themselves afterwards?
Yeah, presumably.
But the
Well,
thing
they're
is,
children. They're probably not that furry.
Oh.
when you are a kid, you
Back to the BBC.
when you
Thank
are
you
a
for
kid,
that.
you do
Michael, I
have all
have to
sorts
go.
of fantasies. When you're a kid, you do have all sorts of fantasies. Like, I genuinely thought that I was half mermaid when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I had a
That's
period
all right.
where I thought I was a cat, but.
Right.
In a normal world, your parents
Your parents don't go throw you off the dock at Lyme
your
Regis, do they?
parents eventually say no.
See if you can
In a
swim
sack.
back.
Then have to now.
Go on, have a go at that then.
See how far you swim, love.
Yeah. That tail's not looking so good now, is it? Anyway, listen, we're nearly at the end. We've got an honourable mention, though, that we're going to have to do in the final section of the show. It's not a plank, but it's an honourable mention. And you'll find out exactly what that's all about when we come back after this on Plank of the Week.
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. It's the final furlong. It's where we decide who's going to be the winner. And I think I've already decided who the winner is, but my last nomination might change that. But before we go to my last nomination, I'd like to give a special mention to an organisation that have been very much part of this show for a very long time. And I'm afraid they're now withdrawing from the public square. I'm talking, of course, about Just Stop Oil, who have announced today that they're giving up on protesting.
What?
Isn't that amazing?
What else do they do?
Yeah. Well, they say in an email to supporters, eco-terrorists have said the initial demand to end new oil and gas is now government policy, making us one of the most successful civil resistance campaigns in recent history. We've kept over 4.4 billion barrels of oil in the ground, and the courts have ruled new oil and gas licenses unlawful. But I think they're deluding themselves, aren't they? I mean,
I'm not sure they could take the credit for
I just
that
put
one.
some petrol in my car, so I mean, they've just stopped me using oil, I'm afraid.
I do it till
as
it
far as I know.
overflows.
As far as I know, there are still some oil and gas exploration situations going on around the world. So maybe they've all just decided that actually it's not that much fun getting arrested because they've changed the laws on Just Stop Oil. And since they now can face being put into prison, they don't want to do it anymore.
Well, it's the end of the ski season as well, Mike.
True.
So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Summer's coming up. They have to go to Ibiza.
They're going to do their final protest in Parliament Square on April the 26th, if you'd like to join.
Will it involve soup?
There may well be soup involved or some...
But probably just in a thermos now.
Yeah, well, the police will help them with some water and they sit down.
Will it involve climbing up Big Ben? I couldn't believe that when that guy was up there all through the night and they couldn't get him down.
I know.
And Big Ben has just been nicely refurbished. It's lovely and clean. And this guy, very selfishly, climbed up barefoot. His feet were bleeding and he got blood stains all over the lovely, nice, new, clean Big Ben.
You should really listen to that guy.
Well, all
these ambulances were all lined up who should have been saving people actually having heart attacks.
Yeah, they shut all the roads
off. It was
off.
unbelievable how much public services went into this one guy.
They're ghastly individuals. Well, just to remind us of how mad it all was back in the heyday of Just Uphold, you might remember this granny who came to demonstrate in London. Check this out.
I've got my grandson coming tonight. He's staying for the next 2 nights with Grandma and Grandad. And he told me when I saw him last week, the first thing he said to me was, Grandma, the fish in the pond are dying. He's 5. The fish in the pond are dying because it's too hot for them and they can't breathe. And I'm doing this for him. And now I've been arrested, illegally arrested. I don't know what I'm going to do because he's at home with nobody to look at. Well, my husband will be there. Grandad will be there.
That's the best bit where she
Prayers
goes,
for Nana.
He's at home all of his own and he's got nobody to look after him. Well, my husband's there to look after him. And the idea that, they don't live in Cairo, the pond that they've got in the garden somewhere in the middle of Hampshire isn't really overheating that much.
It's too shallow.
Yes.
You need a deeper pond.
Yeah, or maybe fewer fish.
Yeah, fewer fish.
Fewer fish.
Or some kind of air circulation.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chuck a bag of ice. Or chuck a bag of ice in it every now and again. That'll sort it out.
I'm good for a water feature.
Yeah,
I'll come round and put one in your garden.
Would you?
Yeah.
We'd quite like that.
We'll kill some fish together.
Very nice. Very nice. I actually did have a pond in my garden, but it had a leak in it. So it kept draining out.
Is that why the fish died?
And the fish
basically a puddle.
And then a stork came and ate, or a crane or something came and ate all the fish. And then there were some newts in there, which I rescued, which apparently you're not supposed to do anything with. But in the end, we just filled it with earth because it was just too much trouble.
Yeah.
You can tell from London.
And that doesn't look suspicious, does it, Mike?
No, doesn't not at all. Fresh earth in the garden, no problem at all. Now, listen, I'm going to put Sussex University up as the plank of the week because these are the people who, if you might remember, decided to fire Professor Kathleen Stock years ago, actually, now probably a couple of years ago. And this was all over basically the trans group again, the sort of trans ideology. She basically was forced to leave the University of Sussex in 2021 after a 3-year witch hunt in which she was basically chased out of the place because of her views on transgender matters, right? But it turns out that they got it wrong. And just this week, they were forced to pay her compensation to the tune of £585,000 because they basically had significant and serious breaches of their contract and of free speech and governance issues. So
it's probably all her salary that's accrued over that time, I would have thought.
Well, it could be, but the university's transgender policy basically said it left staff and students feeling self-centred and unable to express lawful views. And it made a chilling effect around the university. And there were sort of hordes of these trans activists running around, intimidating people. If they thought that you didn't recognise them, they'd all be running around with balaclavas on. And it was really quite a frightening situation. It's probably not the only place it was going on. But I'm just pleased to see that after, a 3.5-year investigation, they've finally actually been told, you shouldn't have done that. That was idiotic.
Yeah.
100%. I remember being at university and we had a lecturer who worked at The Sun and she was pretty anti-woke and I loved her. And she actually went in and started talking about J.K. Rowling and the whole class goes, no, why would you talk about J.K. Rowling? And she goes, can anyone here tell me what J.K. Rowling has actually done wrong? Entirely silent lecture hall. It's like there was all this hullabaloo about discussing someone, and then actually when it comes to facts and brass tacks, they can't actually come up with a reason. So it just goes to the very core of the issue here. It's just like all this hot air for nothing, and thank God that woman's actually had her payday because I can tell her life would have been ruined.
Absolutely right. And I mean, here's the thing: Sussex University came 26th in the UK in the Times Higher Education World University rankings, but they're saying they're not going to accept this. By the way, so they're still planks because they're saying they're going to challenge it. They think they're being singled out because they're being made part of the culture wars by the regulator. And it's so ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, they just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, you had the Vice-Chancellor said, I think, it's the regulator forcing libertarian free speech absolutism down their throats.
I mean, isn't that what you go to university for?
Exactly.
Free
It makes
speech
it
absolutism. I mean,
but basically, their policy says that it says trans people and trans identity must be portrayed in a positive light if it is spoken about in the classroom or anywhere.
Yeah. This is Professor Sasha Roseneal, the Vice Chancellor, right? Who's basically said they were suffering from a Kafkaesque process during the investigation because they were told they weren't allowed to speak about the issue publicly. I mean, poor diddums. What is going on?
How would you say?
It's like participation prizes, isn't it? It's all just coming back. It's just like you can't upset anybody.
Yeah, it really is absolutely nasty ridiculous. But I mean, I dare say we'll have more news on that from Bridget Phillipson, you know, the world's worst education secretary, who's been described as Marxism on a stick. You know. Anyway,
that's a nice way of putting it.
That's for another time. It's time to choose the winner. I think there's only one winner this week. I think it's got to be Heathrow Airport. I really do. I mean, I know Rachel Reeves is flavour of the month because she is the Chancellor, but she's going to be in it a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think Heathrow. Let's hope Heathrow Airport is not actually going to have, you know.
Well, let's hope they get their act together, and this is a horrible wake-up call.
Yeah.
And someone
maybe get themselves a new CEO as well. Who doesn't go to bed when there's a massive crisis. And it doesn't get paid £3 million.
Or it doesn't get out that he went to bed. That's the thing.
Well. Yeah, how did we know that you went to bed? He must have told somebody. Or maybe somebody knew. Anyway, there we are. Heathrow Airport, got to be Plank of the Week. Congratulations, well done. That's a first, I think. First time ever. Thank you to Will, thank you to Chloe, thank you to Samara, thank you to Mark. We'll see you all next time for Plank of the Week.